what's interesting is when my father put in the Wax and Ripley's in 87, there were no successful businesses there long-term. There were continual failing businesses. And it was
from 1880 all the way up.
Yeah. But I had a list of 33 businesses that failed in the previous 35 years in Alamo Plaza because it wasn't what the market wanted.
That's right.
Right? That's what set what was there. It was the market.
It's an interesting dynamic when you look at a decision made 145 years ago at this point, and we're still a party to it. Brad, you're still working through that type of documentation and everything that goes into it.
And, from an economic perspective, the blending of history and entertainment has been very powerful and very successful.
Yeah.
When my father opened the Wax Museum in February of 87, the city council had their arms around his neck, cutting the ribbon. And the lead story on the paper that day was, will Wax Museum revitalize Alamo Plaza? And that what you see is a series of businesses that we built since then, and others, not just us, that have anchored the area successfully from an economic standpoint. Times change, thoughts change, and now we're going in a different direction with the development of the Alamo plan with the state. And so part of the projects that we're coming up with, we're replacing what we lost, when this happened.
Well, it's such an interesting piece of our region, right, in our state. A lot of people are amazed to know Phil Collins is like the biggest private collector of Alamo history, right? And the state's put a lot of money into Alamo Plaza. I was at the 300th.
Oh, goodness. Yes. It's going to be $600 million when this is all said and done.
Which is amazing for an important piece of Texas history. But I don't know, like outside of Texas, it's something everybody can call to, remember the Alamo, and it's always there. And you saw it in the 40s and 50s. It was Tex Avery would put it in his cartoons and things like that. We teach it in elementary school. But it's a building. It's a reverence place. It's a place that tourism can come. But an hour later, you're looking for something else.
15 minutes later. That's why the development of the attractions and the tourist-related businesses work so well there, because it's absolutely, the Alamo and the Riverwalk are two of our main anchors now in the city, right? But the Alamo, for most of its history, since it's been an attraction of sorts, was not done in a way that was very interesting. And it was presented to the guests the same way in 2020 as it was in 1920.
Yeah.
There was no good experience. There was no understanding of where you were. There was no context to the space. There was no significant experience that people could identify emotionally and connect with the story of sacrifice and what really occurred there. I think what the state is going to end up with in their museum is going to accomplish that. And, part of that experience is, how do you engage with the 6-year-old and the 16-year-old and the 46-year-old? Those are 3 different age groups, and you have to, interact with them differently. And so I think they're going to be able to create an experience where people will walk away and finally really begin to understand and appreciate what went on there. And as shocking as it may be to some, I'm one of those cheering for that to come off the right way. I'm a lifelong Texan. I love history, and I want this project to be successful as a Texan, but also selfishly as one of the leaders in our destination. We need this to be successful.
And you have a history with Convention Visitor Bureau being part of San Antonio's infrastructure that is reimagining what San Antonio is going to be. And I've watched in my lifetime San Antonio really become this convention destination. And people say, well, who comes to San Antonio? Why do you come to San Antonio? But the more you peel that onion, the more you realize San Antonio really is a special place nationwide for what it attracts in entertainment, what it attracts in amusement parks. And then the historical, it's an old historic Western town. And we forget the history that sits in our lights. The zoo, that right example, right, is a great tourism destination, but it is ripe with the history of what built Texas, just on that piece of property. And so I think people that are developing in downtown, people that are creating tourism destinations, do have the challenge of balancing heritage and balancing that reverent experience at the Alamo. Sure. There's a lot of people coming here, and I don't think the standard person in San Antonio understands how many hotel rooms we sell a year in San Antonio, because it's hundreds of thousands.
Right. They don't, and they don't understand. Many locals fail to understand how the quality of life is improved for every citizen of San Antonio and of Bexar County because of the amount of tax dollars generated by visitors.
Hotel occupancy tax.
Yes, the hotel occupancy tax. They come in and they spend their money, and then they leave, but they leave their money with us.
No.
And it lowers the average family something like $1,000 each at the end of the year that they're not having to pay in taxes because of tourism. And it's provided the extension north and south of the of the Riverwalk, right? All the hiking and biking trails. It's built numerous parks and soccer fields for for the city folks that live in the city to enjoy. There's so many economic benefits that are almost hidden from the average local. They don't connect the dots there.
Yeah.
It's not just a benefit to those that work in the industry. It's a huge economic impact for the city and the state.
Well, a character, I think you probably recognize the name, but Larry Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Director of Visit Bernie.
And there's a good guy. Know him well.
Larry is a force in the CVB world, Convention Visitor Bureau world, and he really got his start back around the World's Fair in the late 1960s in San Antonio,
driving the riverboat.
And he said exactly what you said. His curiosity was, these people are coming in, they're well-dressed, they're spending money, and then they leave. And he saw that opportunity, and he's taken it fully, right?
That's right.
But it's the characters like that have built the convention center, that have built the tourism around San Antonio, that have attracted people like you to this area. Say, how do we create a great entertainment district to meet the need of all of these tourists coming in?
Yeah, it's interesting. It was in the 80s. San Antonio got 8 million visitors a year.
We used to have a Le Mans race downtown.
Yep, we had that before. We've always had the Alamo and the Riverwalk, right, in its recent times, and we were only having 8 million visitors a year. And now we get like 30 to 35, 33 million visitors a year, something like that. That's leisure visitors, business travel, conventions, all that kind of stuff. And the reason is not just the Alamo and the Riverwalk. Those obviously are what we're known for, and those are the anchors, but it's really the fully developed destination. We have all of these wonderful hotel amenities. We have great resorts. We have attractions. We have a collection of attractions that nobody in Texas has. There's not another city with the number of attractions like we have in a walkable space like San Antonio's got. We have great shopping. We have history. We have culture. The food scene has exploded over the last 10 or 15 years. Culinary is a huge part. And it's that fully developed destination that I think has helped grow those numbers. The other thing that's interesting to know is the only 3 cities in the country with 2 theme parks or more, 2 major theme parks. Anaheim and Orlando, which we all know, and San Antonio, that had 2 or more theme parks.
I never would have made that. I would have thought Dallas. I would have thought Atlanta. I would have probably stayed in the southern part of the U.S. But San Antonio, Anaheim, and Orlando.
That's right.
And what a great opportunity, because SeaWorld attracts so much. Fiesta Texas, Six Flags brings so much. And it brings it from many cultures. There's a lot of people from Mexico that come to San Antonio.
Oh, yes.
And this is their big entertainment. So I don't want to get too far in the conversation without talking about Phillips Entertainment. And I'm thrilled that you're sitting here with us today and really jumping into, one, the future of what Phillips Entertainment is building. And I'm excited to share that with the audience. But then it's a non-traditional startup. You're really, you said it earlier, like you're going into a building you don't own. You're making significant modifications or improvements to that space that is not cheap. And then you're creating an experience for people. So it's not necessarily a product or good, but they're coming in to pay for that experience. Now, in that, they're buying drinks and food and all those things, but they're there for an experience. And Phillips Entertainment has done that with Ripley's, believe it or not, and many other attractions around Alamo Plaza since the late 1990s.
Yeah, February of 87, my father and grandfather opened up the Wax Museum and Ripley's believe it or not, the following year in 88. And for many, many years, my father was a partner in that and then ran that company. And we started Phillips Entertainment in 2000, and that brought in Ripley's Haunted Adventure, the Guinness World Records Museum, the Tomb Raider. We also operate the Amazing Mirror Maze. It's not our business, but we operate it on a management agreement. And of course, one of the staples of San Antonio is the Buckhorn Saloon and Museum and the Texas Ranger Museum there. And we've operated that for the family that owns it since 2009. So we're involved either directly or indirectly in a lot of the different experiences that are downtown. And that's what it's kind of, I tell people we're the steak sauce. We're not the steak.
Yeah.
The steak is Alamo, Riverwalk, right? But we're what makes it fun when you're there. Once you've visited the Alamo and you've done the Riverwalk, now there's all of these other things to do. And with the development of all of these family attractions on Alamo Plaza, the result is people spend more time downtown and they spend more money because there's more for them to do.
Yeah.
And the attractions have all done better, actually, as more have been put together. The numbers that the Wax Museum did when it was by itself were far lower than what it does today with all of these others around there. That cluster effect economically has been very successful.
And you've been very intentional about building attractions for different demographics, different ages, and just being aware that it is a diverse set of people
Yes.
coming into San Antonio, and they may not all be Ripley's people, but
Right.
they're going to go to the Buckhorn, or they're going to go to right, and that is good for the walkability of San Antonio. When we look at that, and if you're not in San Antonio proper, you may not know that Alamo Plaza has gone through a tremendous revitalization.
Oh, man.
I talked about $600 million from the state, and we just celebrated 300 years of the Alamo last March. So there's a big investment in that property, but it wasn't an easy conversation for the city,
No.
the business owners, landowner, to have. There was a lot of balance.
It was tough. It was very tough. I mean, one of the challenges on the whole project, Justin, is so you had the state owned the Alamo grounds.
Okay.
The city owned the plaza and the roads. And then you had private enterprise. The federal government owns the post office at the north. Yeah. And then there's on the west side is all of the private businesses up there. So there was no collective ownership to be able to get together and have a singular vision, not to mention, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I do believe that when it's finished, it will be probably close to 550 to 600 million at the end of the day. That's not their budget, but we all know that construction's not cheap and government's not necessarily the most efficient way of spending money. I do think it'll be a good project once it's done. But the development of the concerted effort with the state and the city finally getting on the same page has allowed this to move forward when they merged all of those things together and the state bought the buildings that we were in. So I have two feelings about this because as a private business owner and somebody that had 275 people working for us and entertained, what's interesting is as many people came to the attractions across the street as went to the Alamo for free.
Yeah.
People don't know that, except they paid, right? So there's a huge economic impact for all of the businesses across the street. And as the discussions went forward, those were not easy and tough because a lot of people had lost their jobs, had lost their businesses. We lost our main free moneymakers, now Phillips Entertainment, and that's why we're having to kind of rebuild this. I do see opportunities if, with the fact that entertainment will still be a part of the mix downtown. It'll just be a little bit further out. And then with a new special museum for the Alamo, I think we're going to see a new normal, and it's going to be an improved level of visitation long term.
Well, and leading into that a little bit further, those are decisions from the 1880s around property, who owns what is incentivized. And then it wasn't until now that had to be revisited in a major way.
They revisited it twice before. They had another commission in 1994.
Okay.
And then before Diego Bernal and City of San Antonio started it again in 2000, the conversation began again about 2012, and then the commission, the Alamo Plaza Citizens Advisory Committee, which I've been on 11 years now.
Yeah.
started in May of 14 that Mayor Castro put together. And that's kind of what got everything going and got the discussions happening. But once the state and the city became one in terms of vision, that's when you started to see movement and progress. The challenge is, of course, a lot of small family businesses have been put out.
Well, it brought eminent domain back to the front of a lot of San Antonians' minds, and it played out in the media. You can go look that up. But you had to make a decision as a business owner whether you were going to stand your ground or not. And I imagine it depended on your outlook of, okay, this is going to be a lull, but we're going to come back stronger. And I think the city is investing in that, right? Because all of that, what you just said about people coming and buying tickets, that's sales tax. So now you're getting a hotel occupancy tax, you're getting sales tax. Right? These are all things to keep our quality of life and our property taxes lower around the entire county, city, region, because those tourists are coming in and partaking in your
that's right
entertainment district.
And as much as I love history, and I do, history by itself is not necessarily an economic powerhouse. It's when it's layered in with the restaurants and the shopping and the entertainment options where it really begins to work economically. And of course, those are rough decisions and tough changes that had to be made. And so we had to make that decision. We had leases into 2028. The state bought our buildings in 2015, and their initial comment to us was, we're not going to extend your leases, but we'll let you stay through your lease. So we were preparing and planning for future things with that in mind. And then I think it was 2021, they told us we've changed our mind and we want you to go. So we worked out a deal and made it work for both sides. And they are using that to fund the future of Phillips Entertainment. And we're going to continue to be around and provide entertainment for locals and for visitors. That's a key element.
So we've talked a lot about what was, right? We talked about your brands that were there, and there's still some there that you're running today, despite the construction. I appreciate that you're seeing local traffic and tourism traffic in some of these venues. But what's the future for Phillips Entertainment? When does the dust settle on Alamo Plaza? And what is it going to look like commercially when we're done?
Well, we still operate the Buckhorn Texas Ranger Museum. We still operate the Mirror Maze on management agreements. We also have 2 escape room locations in town called Extreme Escape. Okay. And it's very successful, high-end escape rooms. We took the way that we know to create these fun-themed environments and brought that into the escape room world. And that's been about 9 years now that we've had those. So those are there. And then we started to Be Kind and Rewind. And we opened that in 2022 of October. And that is a highly immersive and heavily themed 80s and 90s bar experience. So, which was very different for us. We had never done something like that before, but we had to develop. We had to adapt, pivot, right? I hate that word, pivot, but we had to pivot because, we lost those 3 attractions. 2 of them were franchised. And so we had a 2-year non-compete agreement, right? So I had to figure something out differently. And our team came up with the concept. And so what we knew how to do was to create great guest experiences and how to create fun-themed environments. And we knew how to build teams. And so we knew that we could find the people to help execute it, the alcohol side of the business operationally. And so what we've done is create a very unique experience in San Antonio. Nobody comes to us because we sell Tito's. Yep. They come to us because of the unique, immersive, fun experience that we offer inside of Be Kind and Rewind. It is not like any bar that you've ever seen in San Antonio. And so it's been very successful. We've been very thankful, thank goodness, for it to be successful because it was one of the first major steps we took into rebuilding Phillips Entertainment after we lost those other businesses. So that's done very well. And then we're in the middle of our most expensive project we've ever done. We're about to start construction any day. Just a few doors down on Alamo Plaza, we're going to open up another attraction and another theme bar concept that will be open in January, February of 2026. So Phillips is still here, and we're still building attractions and themed fun experiences. Instead of just wax museums and Ripley's Believe It or Not, now we have haunted experiences, we have escape rooms, We have theme bars. So we've evolved over time in order to survive, but also to make sure that we're providing unique, fun, special things that people just can't see anywhere.
And I want to pause on Be Kind Rewind for a minute because we have a group here at Dust Greenhouse that's trying to bring back the VCR. So it's called Retrovision. Oh, and they've got a storefront here that's everything 1994 and earlier. And they're seeing a huge throwback to the nostalgia. And I think that's what you're experiencing too.
Right.
People come in and they like the throwback to before the internet, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we've got the video games from the day, Pac-Man and others that are all free and part of the experience. We actually have one little section of cased areas where we have exhibits and artifacts from the 80s and 90s in a bar. Yeah. That's just odd and different, right? Not to mention the fun themed areas where you can take your pictures and post them on Instagram and stuff like that. But it's very different, and it was really a strategic risk from us because our background historically for decades has been in developing, designing, building, and maintaining and operating of visitor attractions. So we had to really figure out how do we create something different in the bar world where people will come to it using kind of our skill set. And we were able to.
And that's a big part of your future story. And as we talk about what's coming, I want to talk about the partners and investors that make that possible because, it's a big risk because of all the construction, all the news, everything there. But you're still looking around and saying, oh, I got great investors.
Yeah.
But I've got a supportive bank that's really allowing me to do this on really not on the bankability, but that's there. But it's different because it's really based in trust. It's based on past performance.
Right. It's a long-term successful relationship with Frost Bank at San Antonio. Yeah, I can tell you this. If it wasn't for Frost Bank, Phillips Entertainment wouldn't exist. And they have been a critical part of our investment and development in downtown. And our family has helped create most every single attraction you see on Alamo Plaza. But we've done it through the help of Frost Bank. And so our mix has always been that we'll put in some of our own money. We raise money from people that we know and trust or that have been connected to us because somebody else trusts us. And it's always been a mix of a bank loan. And Frost Bank has been the bank for us. And it's difficult, like you said, because if you don't own the property in the building and you don't have major equipment or machinery, there's not much of collateral. Now, I mean, I'm backing everything we do. And yeah, my house and cars and everything else is gone if it didn't work. Fortunately for us, everything we've done has worked eventually and been successful. But the Frost banking relationship has been a huge part. I mean, it's not just us. They do it for all sorts of businesses in San Antonio, but we're a small family business with no property ownership. So it's really about the trust of our business performance, the fact that we never not paid back a loan, and that we have strong cash flows, and we could show a history of success in this market doing exactly what we're talking about doing. So this new project that we're working on is about a $7 million project. And about 1.2 of that will be a loan from Frost Bank. So they're involved in this just like they have been everything else we've done.
Well, and I appreciate the shout out for Frost, one, because they're a great Texas bank, but two, because a lot of our founders, and this is true in any ecosystem, they think the bank is the first place to go to get money.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just not. No, it is a great resource, but it's a relationship you have to build from the beginning. And it's not built on, you loan me money, I'm going to build a relationship. You have to go proactively show that you're the subject matter expert in your field. You have to build a relationship that gets them to come engage in your business and see and experience it. Because bankers, like other humans, make decisions based on their experience. They look at the risks, they look at the formulas, but then they can be swayed if they've seen a similar success story, or they said, yes, this fits what we're trying to do as a city downtown. Right. I have to think Frost finds a lot of confidence in the partnership you have with Alamo Plaza and the way that you've been a civic leader through the organizations that you support. All of that comes into the key relationship with a bank. And whether that's Frost or any of our other great banks, I want to encourage our founders to go build that relationship early, understand what matters and why, and don't just show up when you have a need, but show up and show what your need is going to be, what it's going to provide, and how that's going to bring value to the region. And that's what's going to get the real commercial banks to turn around, take notice, and say, yes, we want to be a part of that future, right? Because it impacts you, our customer, but then it is an asset to our region. And when we can do all those things combined, I think you have the relationship you have because of that. San Antonio has a lot of reason to come to San Antonio that most locals don't think about unless you're in this business. But we have NCAA events coming up. We have some real conventions from all over the world coming here. What is it that drives that San Antonio tourism beyond the amusement parks and entertainment? Why are people coming here?
Well, San Antonio just is a special, unique city. It does, obviously, the anchors of the Alamo and the Riverwalk, like we're discussing, with the fact that we have the theme parks. But there's such a unique, it's a unique culture, I think, and the offering of the food and the history and the fun, and the fact that our downtown is really walkable. What that means is a visitor from somewhere can come and they don't have to get a rent car. They can come get in their hotel and stay downtown and really get wherever they want to do just by walking. And then, of course, you've got Uber taxis if they want to go somewhere different.
Or barges.
Barges, that's right. There's just a lot of unique experiences in San Antonio. One of the debates over the years has been keeping the Riverwalk special and unique and with mom and pops and not a bunch of chain restaurants. That's been a debate back and forth. There have been times where there haven't been any. There are some now. But I still think the Riverwalk is a really special place. And our convention center is awesome. It's fairly new, and they're talking about building onto it.
Yeah.
Right? And then this whole Project Marble thing that's going on. It's an affordable destination. It's centrally located in the United States. And it just has a very unique blend of fun things to do that don't exist in every city, and certainly not within Texas.
Well, there's just something for everyone. Even from downtown, you can walk to Michelin-starred restaurants or around the corner to a haunted hotel, a haunted bar, whatever the case may be. But you can really come and find almost anything for everybody.
I think that's the key. Because we're so diverse in what we offer, that there's something for everybody. Other than we don't have mountains or beaches. Other than that, we pretty much have a little bit of something for everybody. With the development of Alamo Plaza, with the new attractions that are coming on board and new bars, not just ours but others, with Hemisphere Park being redeveloped, and now the discussion of Project Marble, with this great entertainment district concept. There's billions invested in downtown San Antonio. And it's really setting us up for an incredible future economically, as a great destination, and a strong tax base from the visitors that come in to visit, and it helps all of us. It's a huge part of how city government funds itself.
Well, and we see that in the smaller towns around San Antonio as well. I can think of instances where the city has a hotel occupancy tax, and it does really well. It raises over $1 million on that hotel hot tax, as some people will call it.
Right.
But then the same county doesn't. And it leaves $1 million+ out there, right? It hasn't used that. And hotel occupancy, and you may know this better than I do, by statute, it is handled a certain way. Like, that's right, determined by a board, where it gets deployed, how it gets deployed, and it's deployed in the effort of attracting more people in the future.
That's right.
It doesn't just slush fund into whatever else.
No, 11, from the state perspective, 11/12 of the hot tax goes back into the general revenue fund to pay for everything you can think of the state government does. That's a lot, 11/12, right? 1/12 of that is dedicated by state statute to be used to advertise the state as a destination for visitors to come visit Texas. It's not really used within Texas. It's about getting the folks from New York or Michigan or Florida to come visit Texas. And there's a 7-to-1 return roughly on those dollars. I believe what it creates. And so you have to spend it on tourism type stuff, right? It's got to create visitation. It's got to create hotel room nights and things like that. And so there's a variety of ways that's done. But it's a really critical part of the marketing of the state, because if you think, well, we don't need to do that, we're Texas. Well, Disney is the number one theme park in the world, but they still spend millions on advertising. It's important to maintain top of mind awareness.
Now, when you say it goes back to the state, is that through the city and county, or does it actually go back to the state and then the state deploys it?
The state, the hotel tax is paid by the hotels, I believe, to the county.
Okay.
And the city.
Yeah.
And then there's a part that goes back to the state. So how that works, I don't know all the details.
No, but I appreciate it, because there's very few people, just general regulation, that understand that tax. And it's an important one that we're going to spend a little bit of time on, because that's where San Antonio's reinvested so much into more hotels, more large events. I mentioned the NCAA event coming here.
Yeah, the Final Four, that's going to be a huge economic impact. And it would not be coming without the investment made possible by the hot tax that the city and the state or the county have put back in to create better facilities at the Alamo Dome to maintain that as a place that the NCAA wants to come to.
And they keep coming back. They've been here before. But if you live out in Bernie, Castroville, New Braunfels, you may not see that. You could go the entire tournament without knowing it's downtown. Sure, many people come in for an event like that.
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
Tens of thousands?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have 60 or 70,000 at the
Alamo.
Yeah. And you'll have more people than that are close to 100,000 people maybe. But it's also not just that will create tremendous economic impact. And for small businesses like our little small bar, it's a one-off, right? That's going to do very well. And so are all the bars and restaurants around there. These aren't things that impact just the big major mega companies like Landry's, right? It's going to help the small mom and pop operations all around. It's going to be really good, but also the exposure that the destination gets on national TV puts into people's mind to come to San Antonio. And so we've been fortunate over the years to continue to see a steady increase over the time frame, the last 25, 30 years of visitation, obviously with the downturn after 2020, but we're very close to getting back to those levels of where we were before, but we're not there yet. Right. Why?
And I attribute historically the World's Fair was a big piece. That's why we have the Tower of Americas. That's where a lot of this really started.
That's exactly where it started. That was the birthplace of modern San Antonio tourism as a major destination. And today, San Antonio is the number one destination for leisure visitors in the state of Texas. That's incredible. We get 80% of our visitors roughly from the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And 80% of those, most of them, 80% drive.
Yeah.
Right. We're not a huge fly-in destination like Orlando might be.
But that has to do with the family, the amusement park, the cost of renting are all of these things that Texas is big. We don't mind driving 6 or 7 hours.
That's right.
But we want to have our car.
That's right. Oh no, you want to have the car, which brings up the challenge of parking in downtown.
It keeps a lot of it from coming in sometimes.
That's right. And that's one of the reasons why we've been very blessed and happy and surprised that, we've been open about 2.5 years at Be Kind and Rewind on Alamo Plaza, and 45% of our business are locals. I've never seen that. I've been in this industry since I've been 11 years old. I was skinny, I had hair, I was handsome before all age took a hold of me. And I've never seen that. Usually it's about, for attractions, 80% of your business is leisure tourism, but we've been fortunate to hit the right mix on that. And so we're doing about 55% convention business and leisure folks, and then 45% locals to this day, 2.5 years later.
So what a testament to the experience, right?
That's right.
Because those are locals that are bringing their out-of-town guests in. Those are locals that are meeting their friends from around the city in a central space. I can only imagine who's going through there. But so we have these big events coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great. You kind of get through the wave tops with local coming in. When does this open up? When do we see construction dust settle and we go back and say, oh, this is a new experience from Phillips Entertainment. Let's go check it out. And what does that look like?
Right. So the majority of Alamo Plaza now is open for the first time in 5 years. There is a little portion on the southern end right in front of Rewind where the Friendship Torch is. All that area is still under construction. And then, of course, up the north side by where the post office is, where they're building the museum and our old space, that's still going to be under construction until 2027, I believe.
Okay.
So once we get to 2027, all of that will be done and finished, out of the way. But the main thing for us is that by the time we get, I think in November, the part in front of Be Kind of Rewind in the McDonald's area, where all that's going to be cleaned out.
Okay.
So the majority of the plaza is now open and walkable. And
as they took the road out, you cannot drive by the all-around anymore.
You cannot drive by. The only thing that's going to be able to do that are the tour buses. Okay, they have an agreement to be able to pick people up there and drive through, because that's an experience that everybody, that many visitors want to have. And so Old Town Trolley is the great group. They do a good job of that and other things. And so they have secured the ability to do that. But you and I cannot drive through the street. And what that does, though, Justin, is that opens up, it's a walkable plaza now. What it was for decades was a street that had cross traffic. So there was only certain spots that you could cross, and it made certain areas probably a better location for a business than others. What I'm excited about is that now all of the street fronts are equally have that opportunity to get those people, because now you can just wander safely back and forth. And so that's going to be a very good thing from a business perspective. It makes it challenging for, deliveries, stuff like that, but we'll work through that. It is a safer experience for a visitor, and it's a better experience, for the pedestrian access back and forth.
And it makes it a quieter experience.
Yes.
For the reverence of the Alamo, and then you go into the entertainment district.
That's right.
So what is coming from Phillips Entertainment? What do we look for in 2027?
We're about to begin construction right now on a new haunted experience called the Scream Experiment, which is going to be a multi-million-dollar special effect year-round haunted house.
Okay.
With animatronics and special effects and live actors and stuff. We had done something similar to that before with Ripley's Haunted Adventure that had been very popular with locals and visitors. That attraction actually did get locals because in Halloween, they want to come out and do those kind of things. And usually when you go to a local haunted house, they haven't spent millions of dollars on it. It's maybe $100,000 or something. So this is really like a Disneyland experience inside a haunted house type thing. And then we're going to have a new theme bar concept called Paradise Unknown, which is a little mixture of a haunted bar, tropical vibe with a little tiki flavor, just different, something unique. And again, nobody's going to come because of Tito's. They're going to come because of this another unique, fun bar experience. And one of the things we're going to want people to know is the same folks that brought you Be Kind and Rewind, which has been a huge hit local, are bringing you this new concept just a door or two down. And both of those should be open in January or February of 26.
Okay.
So 27 is when the Alamo Museum will be finished. But we'll have our new project open in about 12 months.
So a year from now, that door is open, and all of our visitors and some of our locals are going to be able to go in and experience a whole new bar experience. That's really exciting. Takes us from the happy hour sitting there talking, but drives an experience, which I appreciate.
And for the first time in downtown San Antonio, you're starting to have a quality nightlife strip come together. One of the things that we were able to do over the decades is create fun family attractions on Alamo Plaza. And what we're hoping we're going to see now is that same kind of development of high-end quality bar experiences, because you've got Be Kind and Rewind. You're going to have this one. We've got Pat O'Brien's is there.
Yeah.
Just down the street, a bar called The Rose opened. So La Soya now is becoming really a quality nightlife destination place for visitors and locals. And we've not really had that in the heart of downtown before.
No, and it makes me think it's interesting if you compare and contrast our favorite neighboring cities. Austin and San Antonio are very different downtown districts, and they serve a different persona. I don't think of a lot of families going to downtown Austin unless they're going to governmental capital and things like that. But you're not going for entertainment in downtown Austin as a family.
No.
And in San Antonio, you are by default of your convention travel, or you're here for a family vacation, or as you're going to the amusement parks. So it is a challenge for people in your business, I imagine, to say, how do you create a bar experience in a family
Right.
focused city?
That's right. It's unique. We just what we've tried to do is create the fun, themed, immersive environments that you do not expect when you walk into a bar.
Yeah.
And that is what I think for like young adults and people of age, they will really enjoy that. But we're also going to continue to offer the family attraction element as well. So again, it goes back to there's really something for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. We're not relying on one type of product that we have to hit on with everybody.
Yeah.
The Mirror Maze is still there. The Wax Museum and Ripley's, believe it or not, we're no longer a part of that group because that was sold back to the corporate office. But that business continues to do very well, and that's there. And the Buckhorn Museum and our new attraction, the Scream Experiment, is going to be opening. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for families and people looking for that, as well as in the evening when they want to go have a drink and have some fun. There's going to be some really cool, unique things like that. When you come down to San Antonio, give me a call. I'd like to take you to Be Kind and Rewind and show you that. We could enjoy a drink together, and then we'll show you the space where we have just a few doors down. It's going to be a really unique and fun transformation versus what had been there before.
Well, and one of the takeaways, because you came and you talked to our Angel Network, and we had a lot of excitement around what you're doing. And my takeaway from that evening was you had what I would consider competitors in the room advocating for this investment and for what you're doing. And that struck me as odd until you asked a couple of questions. And it really is all ships rise.
That's right.
When it comes to entertainment and solutions for everything. So we share a connection to Tim Morrow and the San Antonio Zoo. And they're doing such incredible work now with their gorilla facility coming along. That's going to bring a whole new set of people, San Antonio, from around the country, because there's not a lot of gorilla exhibits here. And there are people that travel for that.
Tim he's one of the best leaders in the industry, and he's a friend of mine, but he has done a phenomenal job at the zoo. Most people, if you're not paying attention, don't realize the unbelievable transformation that organization has gone through in the last 9 or 10 years. So she's been there, from the experience to the vision of the future to the team that he's built. The zoo is one of the most important groups we have involved in our industry in San Antonio now, and it's a large part because of the leadership of Tim Morrow.
But it's the historical value of that. And you go down Broadway and you see the Pearl popping up with everything it's got, and it's on the barge route, so it's a barge taxi. And then you come down into the Alamo district, and that lane of Broadway has seen so much development. But again, I would have thought competitors, but y'all very quickly showed me that, no, this is partnership. There's a double-decker bus company wants you to be in the haunted bar, wants you to see Be Kind Rewind, wants you to have a great time in San Antonio. And some of that will be to the benefit of them, but all of that is to the benefit of our citizens, our local tax base, et cetera.
Texas is actually known across the country as a place where there is true partnership in the travel and tourism industry among different competitors, no doubt. It's very rare, I've been told, where the head of SeaWorld and the head of Six Flags would sit down in the same room and strategize about how to come up with a co-op program to market the destination together. Theme parks don't do that.
Yeah.
Competitors in other cities and states don't partner together. They really look at each other as like a threat or a competitor. One of the blessings that we have at San Antonio is it's not that way. And San Antonio is one of the most unique cities in the country within travel and tourism, because we all really do work together. Because if we do that smartly, the destination's going to be okay, and they will all get our piece. My grandfather taught me this. My grandparents owned and operated Operating Springs in San Marcos, Texas.
The diving pig.
That's right. Ralph the Swimming Pig and the sky rides on the underwater theater and all that fun stuff. But one of the other things he did was help create our state Advocacy Association, which today is called the Texas Travel Alliance. He, amongst others, not just him, but what he saw was everybody was working against each other. There was no coordinated, cohesive, focused messaging from the industry to government. And it was causing issues and problems. And so in the late 60s and early 70s, a group of leaders got together to form this organization, which is very influential and helpful today. And that trickle down happens now within the cities where, we don't necessarily show each other our P&Ls.
Yeah.
But we're working together. We do bounce backs, co-ops. We talk and meet all the time about how is business, what's right, what's not, what do we need to work on together. If I walk in to see somebody at City Hall and I'm by myself, it's real easy to just blow me off. But when a group of 10 competitive business owners come in and say, hey, we have a challenge and we need some help here. Here's what we're seeing. You don't blow that off. You listen. There's strength in numbers when you're working on behalf of the industry. And that's one of the things that I think San Antonio does very well. In fact, Tim Morrow is currently the chair of the Texas Travel Alliance.
Well, that's well placed.
There you go.
Plug. As we wrap up, I really just want to call back, and it's a good reminder, and it's come up in the last few episodes, but it's the stewardship of our wonderful city.
Yeah.
This people like you are taking on, because you've served in that role.
Yes.
With the Texas Travel Associations, you've served in the Convention Visitor Bureau. So you've brought your competitors together very intentionally. And I do appreciate that spirit and what that's allowed us to do as a city, as a region. And I've heard that all over the state now. And I've heard stories of there was strife and then we worked together and now it is what it is.
That's right.
And it's just a testament to any city, any group, any size, go out, collaborate, and you are serving as stewards. And
we also, absolutely. We have a job. We want to leave our world a better place, right?
Yeah.
Than when we got here. That's everybody's hope to do for our children. We have the same responsibility for our industry and our destination. We all need to work together. If every decision is viewed through just how is this best for me, that is very narrow, and it's not going to move the needle forward from an industry perspective. And at the end of the day, if you work on behalf of the overall industry, we're all going to be better off. This isn't rocket science. This is common sense. Wouldn't it be interesting if government would take that same approach? Instead of trying to fight each other and screw each other, make each other look stupid, you actually started really trying to solve problems. And that's what our industry does. The industry leadership and the travel and tourism industry in Texas is really remarkable from that standpoint. And when people come into the city, they're new, and they sit in these meetings, their eyes are like this. And they're like, what is happening? Why, how? Y'all talk about these things? Y'all are open with what's happening? And, our attraction's about 20 years ago now. Just a small example of it is the attractions community, as part of the San Antonio Visitor Alliance, share their percentage up or down increase, not actual numbers, of your business with the other attractions in the city. We have a little spreadsheet. It's nothing fancy. But what it does is it allows each business to see, okay, if I'm 5% down, but everybody else is 10% up, something's not right. But if I'm 5% down and everybody else is 20% down, I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. Now, having that context allows you to make better business decisions and to have conversations. And we will reach out to each other and talk about, hey, this isn't working, and what do you suggest on this? And people who technically are competitors are helping each other. It's one of the reasons why our destination continues to grow and become stronger. And there is nothing but progress on the horizon. I am so excited about the future for San Antonio with everything that's coming, with what we know is happening, with what we know is coming down the road. We're in great shape.
Well, I go back to, it is creating the environment for success. It's not picking the winners and losers.
Correct.
It is creating the environment for people like you to come in and be successful. And if you didn't have that spirit, I don't think 40 years later, you'd be working with Frostbank and having the relationships and weathering a storm of a 5-year construction project in your front yard.
Yeah.
That's not easy for any
surviving COVID, the 5-year construction project, and losing our main 3 moneymakers all in the same small time frame. But a huge challenge for our little business, and a lot of, for everybody.
But you carry the optimism, you carry the outlook of future strength.
Failure is not an option. We're going to figure it out. I teach my boys, I have 2 sons, and I always tell them, when you're walking down a path and you come across a boulder, you don't just stand there and die getting dusty. You figure out a way over it, under it, or around it. That's what life is all about, right? There are no A, B, C, or D answers in life. But we're teaching children to take a test by memorizing stuff, and what we need to be doing is teaching them how to think critically to solve problems that there are no answers for. And one day, when all the Alamo Plaza news was happening, and my young son ran into the room and he saw me being interviewed on TV, he said, "First of all, why are you on TV?
Yeah.
Why do they want to talk to you?" And then he said, is this a boulder for you?" I said, "Yes, it is." "All right, it's a boulder, but we're going to figure it out." And we've been very blessed and fortunate that we have. We've got a great team, and you have to adapt, right?
Yeah, and you're in a great community, supports what you do, wants you back here doing all of the things that you were doing pre-COVID. Exercise. And Be Kind Rewind is a testament today. So if you're watching this and say, "Hey, I want to go downtown,"
Open 7 days a week.
right?
Yep.
Where else would people find Phillips Entertainment, more about you and your work? Where would you point people?
Probably just, let me think about that. We don't really talk about Phillips because it's all about the brands that we're creating. Phillips is just the company behind it. Just really, I guess they'd have to call me or email us at Phillips Entertainment, and I'd be happy to talk to people. But we don't really promote or push Phillips as much as we do the brands.
So Be Kind Rewind, your brands that are coming up.
Yeah.
What is the brand coming up that we should be on the lookout for? The Haunted or
the Scream Experiment.
Yep.
It's going to be the multi-million-dollar special effect haunted house, and Paradise Unknown is going to be the new themed bar experience. It'll be completely different than Rewind, but that same kind of immersive themed environment with some really cool, fun drinks and a unique place to visit.
Well, Davis Phillips, thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for the way that you are literally building Texas and in the spirit and culture that I think downtown San Antonio has, and working through all of this great development that's happening. But it is a moment in time where I'm calling our locals to go down there and see an extra minute of looking around, maybe grab an extra drink and say, "Wow, this is going to be really fun when NCAA gets here in 27.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be really great when my business convention's here in 26. Whatever that case is, people like you are making that possible. So thank you for what you do.
Appreciate that. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.